All right, back in the field with the track stars, Ryan Righteous, Sean Tanner, DJ Jeremiah. Was good.
Yo, we want you to check out the Trackstarz merch, man. Make sure you download the app. Did y'all know we had an app? Y'all knew we had an app. Okay, good. Download the app. Make sure that you go and check out the merch. You have a option to see lifestyles of Sean, Jeremiah, and myself, and you can see kind of like how our swag works. So go check out the app today. Make sure you get some Trackstarz merch under your belt. Spend that stimulus the right way. All right?
All right, so we still got Red Gorilla here with us. I wanted to talk a little bit about what you guys were speaking about in that video before the video, right? So what does it mean as a married person, can you use Christian music for your married time? Is that taboo? Is that weird?
The question is, do you want to?
Ryan?
I'm married, so I can't speak.
So you just make it. So you're like the drug dealer. You give it to the people and you like,
wow.
Yeah.
No, I think it's two sides of that coin, though. I mean, you do raise a good question. Like, well, would you want to? Like, could you really, be romantic or intimate? Well, I mean, we're all adults. Can you have sex, to praise and worship music? I don't think that works. I'm a strong proponent. I'm married, so I could do whatever, listen to whatever I want with my wife. But I can say that there's a spectrum. I think that you have some more traditional married couples that would feel more comfortable with less raunchy music, you know what I'm saying? But they don't want to listen to, John P. Key or Donald Lawrence, you know what I'm saying, during that time. So it's like, well, what is, you know what I'm saying? So what does it look like? What's the middle ground, And I think that's the space that we're living in right now, where it's like, okay, you want something that isn't, what today's music sounds like. So, I don't have to get into details on that. But I mean, I think it's just really acknowledging the spectrum and then finding a place within it.
So, Jack, you said something that was actually brought up on our team call. Should Christians be able to, or should Christians feel convicted when they listen to music that is on the raunchy side, but they're, again, like Bishop Garn said, the marriage bed is not defiled? Is there anything, we've had this question come up before from married Christians and single Christians, is there anything that defiles the marriage bed, and in the sense of music as well? Like, can you go in there and listen to whatever lyrics, words, whatever, and it not be convicting? Or should it be non-convicting? Because I know a lot of people are just convicted because of different things, but just the way they handle things. But the Spirit, the Holy Spirit, should that be something that convicts us at that time?
We got a lot of single people in the chat going off with some comments. What y'all doing? Hold on, what y'all doing?
I don't think it should be. I don't think it should be convicting. I don't think anything that's. I think anything within the confines of marriage is blessed. That's my understanding of it. Now if you're talking about profanity, if you're talking about, no, that's a slippery slope too. Like, I don't know. Like, I think, like I say, I can only speak for me and mine. And, my wife and I have a few different playlists, and if I come in the room and playlist 1 is playing and, and it's smoother, I know what type of night it's playing. But if playlist, 3 is on and it's, and my eyebrows are raised, it's like, oh, okay. So this is how we come. So, I mean, I just feel like it's up to you. Like, I mean, if the individual is convicted in that moment, then you got to do what you're most comfortable with and what supports the mood of the moment.
This goes back to the question. This goes back to the question. does your music change depending on where you are? Like when you roll up to the church, do you go, oops, turn it down, switch to something else? You know what I'm saying? Does it change when you get to the bedroom? Does it change? Like, what's the difference? Why? I mean, I'm not talking about like styles of music, because there's Christian styles of all those same things. But does the type of music always change depending on where you are, and why do we do that?
I think yes, because music it's a stimulator. You know what I'm saying? It stimulates, you know, a mindset. You know what I'm saying? So like, yo, if I'm in the gym, I want my workout playlist, because that's gonna put me in the mindset that I need to be in to fulfill that, you know, task. If I'm out running errands, you know what I'm saying, I want a certain energy to keep me focused on what I'm doing. So, you know, there's a genre of music or a style of music that supports that. Same thing with sex. You know, same thing with, I mean, I just think us as humans, we have humans first, and then married couples, and then Christians, you know, and all these subcategories of who we are. But I just think that the mental side, the mindset plays such a crucial part in just our everyday activity and productivity, that finding the right stimuli for it, you know, is important. Yeah, I think it should change.
But why does the whether it's secular or not change, right? Because you can have gospel, Christian hip hop, Christian R&B, Christian workout playlists, you know, 132 beats per minute play, all that could be all Christian, right? So why does our opinion of secular music change depending on where we are? Like if I was sitting inside the work, like for instance, I do production at my church, right? So I remember I was listening to a podcast, and the podcast is not a Christian podcast, it's just a podcast about film. And I remember getting into, as soon as I stepped into the sanctuary, I was like, turn this off. Like, I shouldn't be listening. You know what I'm saying? Like, but why does it change? Like, what's the difference? Should we, if we have that reaction, should we ever be listening to it?
I get what you're saying.
And if you feel weird when Christian music is on in marriage people time, what does that say about you too? Like, do you think marriage people time is sex supposed to be a dirty, non-godly thing? Yeah. So it's just interesting how we process all this stuff.
Well, I think I'll say this. Being a DJ for so long, I could make a playlist of slow jams, gospel, Christian R&B from back in the day to now, and the night still be bumping to anybody out there. So that's just a free situation for anybody out there. We can help you out for anybody out there. But I would say this. I think that's us being judgmental on ourselves, or are like we still, it's almost that old school mentality of like when people would drive past the church back in the day, they would, if they were smoking weed or drinking, they would put it down and hide it behind their cars and drive past the church and then continue back to it. It's just like, I think that's just something in us of almost like a reverence of the church. You know what I'm saying? If it's not Christian, we're not gonna play it. I think also for when it comes to the marriage couples, I think a lot of marriage people or even Christians don't think there's anything out there that can help them or have their night go well to music that they think is out there. You know what I'm saying? Because I think even like when we think about our show is out there for creatives, of course, but then also so you can hear other music that is good, culturally relevant, and that you can be like, oh, this is dope, let me check that out. And I just think for some people, they be like, I don't want to hear, God bless TD Jakes, but I don't want to hear him sing about knocking boots. I don't want to hear, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to hear John P. Key singing about knocking boots. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to hear these songs that I know these people are from, like they are presenting me into God's presence. I don't want to hear them talk about me getting into another presence. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's just the double-mindedness that we have as Christians. Is like, I don't want to hear Fred talk about, I love Fred, Let the Praise Begin. I love Fred, Bread of Life. I love those songs about him, but I don't want to hear him talking about, girl, I'm about to take you up and tear it up. Like, I don't want to hear Fred sing that. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's what people come from. But I ain't gonna front. I would love to hear K.N. Jones sing something like that. Like, because he has records that I've played before of records that are slow jam type records that I'm like, I can accept that from him because he's coming from the Christian R&B side, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying?
I think I think music is also like the soundtrack to a lot of our lives. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
and so like we actually are playing music to fit certain scenarios and genres in our lives, you know. So so I listen to Trackstarz, right? But I also might listen to Joe Rogan and Bill Burr's podcast.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That don't make me less Christian. But if I'm not gonna have Bill Burr as I walk into the church. But it's more because I don't want to disrespect somebody else that might hear it. You know what I'm saying? And because I know what I can listen to and I know what I can handle, but I don't know what that other person can. And I don't want to have them go down the road and not out of my understanding. You know what I'm saying? But they also got headphones.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
True.
saying?
And you said an important thing when you said reverence, the reverence of the space, and it makes me think like, okay, weed is legal in most places now, but would you feel comfortable getting high with a judge, you know what I'm saying, that's working one of your cases, you know what I'm saying, or that's over one of your cases or something like that? It's like the mindset of it is like, somehow this can be used against me. I just know it, like, and so I don't know. Like, I think I do think that's a really good point, though. The reverence of it all, playing into the respect. It's like, it's like, I feel like for certain people, why you don't curse in front of your parents. Yeah, I'm grown. My parents are grown. Or you don't curse at all. I mean, for most people, but like for the sake of the argument, it's like, okay, some people just don't curse in front of their parents because it's a respect thing. Place and time, and so I think that's another part of it. Like, okay, I'm pulling up to the church. Let me turn NBA YoungBoy down, and Quando Rondo down.
So I gotta read a comment. I'm gonna put her on blast. I'm gonna try to say her name right. It's Afi Sharice. Afi Sharice. I'm gonna go with that. She said, "I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I don't listen to the one they call Meg Thee Stallion. But best believe when I get married, her music will be my inspiration."
Wow.
Okay.
So how do you feel about that? I just love that you said the one they call. That's
yeah.
The one they call.
So that opens up a big question, right? Before I got married, I had a friend who recently passed away, but he told me, he said, "Bro, I got to tell you," he said, "I think you walk around with this Christian chip on your shoulder, this halo that makes you seem like you're so heavenly minded, you're no earthly good." And we hear that cliche all the time. We talk about people being in that sense. Are we at the point right now where, let's just say that somebody was not saved when they were in their young days, in their heydays, the 18, the teens or whatever, and then they get saved closer to marriage, right? Is the lifestyle that you used to live supposed to be convicting when you come back to that in your marriage? You see what I'm saying? Are a lot of people stuck in that? Oh, you know what? I used to get down before I was saved. When I got saved, I tried to clean things up. Now that I'm married, she wants me to go back to my old ways, or you know what I'm saying? Like, or he wants her to be more like the woman that he used to be with out in the streets because now he's married to her and there's nothing defiling the bed. Are Christians struggling with that?
Well, I will say this real quick. Going back, using your same analogy or the same question, going back to that is like, think about it. For some people, let's say you married somebody and y'all both weren't virgins. Let's say you put on a song by Sam Cooke and that was the song that you and your ex had sex to. So now that could bring you back to the that Sam Cooke song could bring you back in your mind to your ex-girlfriend, and vice versa. If she had a song to Trey Songz and that comes on, that brings her back to the guy that she had sex with, to Trey Songz with. So I think those are those things where you got to be real iffy about, because then that's when comparison comes in, and that's when other stuff starts to come into your marriage where it's like, well, he ain't do what old boy did, and that fulfillment situation happens. So I will say that, but I will say this about defilement. I think defilement happens in the bedroom when somebody feel uncomfortable about doing something, and you're making them do something. In my opinion, I think that's what defilement is. I think if you and your wife trying something, she like, I don't like that, and you still making her try it, I think that's when the Lord is like, okay, you need to stop.
That's
because
right.
Yeah, that's rape.
So
But also, she doesn't feel comfortable, and it's making her feel like she's sinning. Honestly.
yeah, but okay. So I wish Bishop Garnes was still here because that defilement thing comes up a lot, and I don't hear it that way when I read it. The way I hear everybody interpret it is the marriage bed is undefiled, meaning whatever you want goes. I read it more as, and we would have to go dig into the language around how it was written. I read it more as it's not to be defiled. Like keep it undefiled. Like don't mess it up. Don't bring anything in to mess up your bedroom. You know what I mean? That's how I hear it. Because to me, that would be
But
weird.
what does that mean?
I
think that's still subjective.
Yeah. But there's other verses that outline what could defile you, right? That verse was written in the middle of the Old Testament where they were laying out laws, right? So there's a lot of other constructs around that to kind of give you guidance as to what that could mean. So it would be weird to me. It could be, I'm just saying, it would be weird to me for in the middle of all these, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this. But if you're in your bed with your wife, do whatever you, animals, other people, whatever you want. Like that would be strange to me. That undefiled.
Why did you have to say animals?
That's abomination.
But that's my point. Why would he say, "Oh yeah, except for this one little situation"?
Are you selective about the animals?
In this one little situation, whatever you want. That would be strange. To me, it feels more like a warning than a permission slip. That's just my thing.
Yeah, that's real. That's a real thing.
That's a fair point for sure. I think, clearly the Bible speaks directly to animals, but all the other stuff like that point right there brings up a whole other conversation about the interpretation of the Bible and how and how denominations are derived but that definitely gives me about now. I gotta go back and read to see if is not to be defiled versus not defiled.
We have a good good comments going on. Rapture said watching porn in the bedroom with your spouse will be one example of defiling the marriage bed.
That's cool. That's fact. Good. That's good.
Yeah.
But again, other people disagree with that. You know what I mean? So
some people would be like,
that's the thing.
That's on you, brother.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like who decides? There's a lot of things that certain people do that other people would say is completely out of whack. So I think maybe we need to do a whole Bible study on what does marriage bed undefiled, because some people take it way too far one way and way too far the other way. So what does that actually mean? So anyway, let's take a break right here from all this nasty stuff. You're in the field with the track stars, Ryan Righteous, Sean Tanner, DJ Jeremiah. Let's go.